Stephen Corner, next, followed by Teresa Perna.
Morning.
Good morning. Good to have you here. Please go ahead. You have 5 minutes.
By way of introduction, I live in Ward 2 in Councilor DiCiano's section of the city, and I'm the owner of a 6-year-old, 115-pound intact male Alaskan Malamute who has a bite on his record with the city. That bite record was the result of him being attacked by an off-leash dog in a leashes required park while we were walking on leash at the time. He defended himself, and in the process, the skin on the other dog's head was broken, which satisfies the definition of bite. Even though there was no bite involved, it satisfied the definition, so he has it on his record. I'm not here to litigate that particular incident, but I do have issues with the suggestions for amendment to the existing bylaw going forward. The blunt instrument that is now in place essentially says that a bite is a bite is a bite. We don't care what the circumstances were. We don't care whether the dog was provoked. We don't care whether there was an attack on the dog. We don't care whether it was kicked in the head. A bite is a bite is a bite. So that's the essence of why there is a record for my dog with the city. Going forward, as I understand the amendments, a bite is a bite is a bite is changing to a dangerous act is a dangerous act is a dangerous act, where there are a variety of things that will have a dangerous act recorded on the dog's record with the city. 2 such incidents will result in a rather draconian list of items that are required by the dog owner, such as purchasing a dangerous dog tag from the city, posting a sign on your property that says there's a dangerous dog who lives here, muzzling the animal, going for training, a variety of things. So what I believe should happen going forward is, and I understand and I appreciate the fact that there will be an appeal process built into the amendments that are being put forward, but that appeal process only will be able to kick in after a second incident occurs, or if the first incident was considered a serious one and all of those measures are put in place. I believe that there should be the right to appeal after the first incident occurs. To use my example, my dog was attacked, he defended himself. Under the new regulations, there is a self-defense provision, and yet it's not allowed to come into play until after a dog has had 2 such incidents, or the first incident was considered a severe one. I don't want to get to that stage where a self-defense issue turns into the same incident later on. For the past 1.5 years, I've been living in fear every time I take my dog out for a walk that he will be attacked yet again by another off-leash dog. I can't let him defend himself because a muzzle order under the current regulations would be the result. Under the new regulations, it'll be a lot more than a muzzle order. I think I should be able to appeal under the self-defense provision before the dog is deemed a dangerous dog and has to comply with a variety of things that are now being proposed in the new bylaw. And the other thing that concerns me is because this event took place prior to the suggested implementation date of March 1st, 2017, will I be able to go back and appeal at a later date, given that it was a self-defense incident as opposed to an aggressive, dangerous dog acting out on his own? One other thing I would add is that my worst fear did come true 6 months after the first incident. My animal was attacked by yet another dog, and for fear of having him defend himself and be subjected to a muzzle order, it was necessary for me to hold the dog by my side and let him be attacked which resulted in a 6-stitch cut to his forehead while the other owner happily walked away. The appeal process needs to happen sooner than being proposed in the new bylaw suggestions.
Thank you, sir. We have questions from you, Councilor Mamolidi, followed by Councilor Di Vermeer. Councilor Mamolidi.
So sorry, you see your dog as being considered a dangerous dog after one bite
No,
under the new changes?
no.
Okay.
But he will have what's called a dangerous act on his record.
Okay.
And I'm not allowed to appeal that. I'm only allowed to appeal if a second incident occurs and another dangerous act happens. So the same circumstance could happen again. Another off-leash dog could attack my dog. He would defend himself. The other dog would be injured. He would immediately be deemed a dangerous dog, even though it's 2 incidents of self-defense.
After the second one.
Right. And only after the second one am I allowed to appeal. I don't want to get to the second one. I'd like to be able to appeal the first one so that I'm not that close to having to buy the tag, do all of that stuff.
So, what kind of dog do you own?
A 115-pound Alaskan Malamute.
Okay. It's not a Chihuahua.
He is well socialized, he is well trained, he is the joy of the neighborhood. When the first incident occurred, 30 residents in the neighborhood wrote letters of support to say that he's the best trained dog in the area, and I'm the most responsible dog owner they've ever seen, but that had no impact on the fact that he still has a bite record with the city.
But under this new proposed bylaw, if a Chihuahua happens to bite somebody twice, they'd be considered a dangerous dog.
Correct,
A Chihuahua.
correct. Even if it's being attacked by 15 Rottweilers, if it jumped up and bit one of the Rottweilers in the nose, the Chihuahua would be deemed a dangerous, or that would be deemed a dangerous act.
The Chihuahua will be considered a dangerous dog.
If it was a severe bite, yes,
2 infractions of biting.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mamolidi. Councilor Di Vermeer.
Through Mr. Chair,
Sir,
question of the,
sir, we have another question for you. Mr. Cornell.
Sorry, I thought
another
you were
question
done
for
with
you.
me.
no, another question.
Oh, good.
Through Mr. Chair, thank you very much for coming today, because I certainly, speaking personally, I read the report thoroughly, and I missed that, I'll call it the nuance, and I want to make sure I understand what you're saying to us, is that once, say, your dog or my dog is considered a dangerous dog, then we could appeal saying, well, our dog was defending itself.
Correct.
But that's only once it's designated a dangerous dog. And so
Right.
you're saying on the first incident, you'd like the opportunity to talk to our staff, because if our, staff get involved and they agree with you, yes, your dog was attacked, it was self-defense, it doesn't have aggressive tendencies, so we're not going to give you that first strike, if you will.
Correct.
So, okay, so if we modified this, and we'll ask our staff to see what their opinion is, but if that was included in this report, then independent of that, I'll call it important nuance, or that important change. The rest of the report, what are your feelings on the rest of the report? You're a very good dog owner. You see what goes
I'd
on.
like to think so, yes.
So do you think this will make your dog and you and other people in your community safer?
Well, yeah, my concern is for people who are caught in the situation that I'm caught in, where through no fault of my own, because there was another irresponsible dog owner who let their dog run loose, I am forced to defend my dog's actions, and he was forced to defend himself. I have been looking for the past year and a half to have the original bite citation with the city rescinded, because it was a self-defense thing, but the original bylaw, the one that's being amended, doesn't have a provision in it to allow for an appeal or for rescinding of a bite citation.
Okay.
So all I'm looking for going forward is the opportunity to appeal, and that's a concern for me because this happened before March 1st of 2017. Will I be allowed to appeal? Right. Under the proposed bylaw, I won't be able to. I'd like to be able to appeal that first citation.
Right. an appeal doesn't mean guaranteed. So through you, Mr. Chair, so if your dog, for example, was bitten by a small dog, and then your dog killed it,
Yes.
and you would say to me, well, it was in self-defense. That little dog jumped up, bit my dog in the nose, and my dog shook it and killed it. Some owners would still appeal that and say, my dog was acting in self-defense. But if our staff then said, well, sir, you've had the appeal, but we consider your dog, although you say the dog was being attacked, the other people in the dog park said, no, that dog was just playing and jumped on your dog in a friendly manner, and then it was killed by your dog. So you're saying you need an appeal mechanism. Doesn't mean that will necessarily eliminate your first strike.
No, I get it. Everything has to be investigated thoroughly. I think in the case, in my particular case, there's enough evidence in place with Animal Services at the moment, unless I'm completely misreading Ms. Glibbery's reactions to what I've been talking to her about lately, to have that particular bite citation overturned, but there's no mechanism to do it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for coming.
Okay, thanks.